Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. So this is the Sunl Alias. You could call it a Hammerhead, you could call it a Carter, you could call it a Trailblazer. Goes by many different names, more or less the same thing. A lot of times the engine is the same. The seats, a lot of times, they're the same. Maybe you have one, but I mean, the same is to the point of being interchangeable. So let's just get that out of the way. If you have one of these, whatever name it says on it, they're probably almost all the same. These things are renowned for a few things. Unfortunately, electrical problems is what they're the most renowned for. So, and let me show you what we're up to. The story on this thing is I got it from a building inspector a couple of towns over. He, by the way, I'm glad I don't live in that town. They'd be all over me. They actually go around and inspect property regularly. Like, they mind your business for you. Anyhow, I digress. He bought it and he said it was salvage. So, you know, I got it home and it's like, salvage, what, you know. I also paid too much money for it, considering what it was. I bought it without knowing if the engine was any good, and I paid $450 for it. So if I would have got it home and found it with a blown engine, you know, I got $450 into a frame and a few tires. I was out on a limb with this thing, to be quite honest. But luckily, and if you guys watch my videos regularly, you know that that I did get it running, right? And I did drive it, and it does those things, all very good. But now it's time to get it running for real. I'm told this paint here, right? I don't know how well I'm showing it to you. Right, you can kind of see it on this bar here. I'm told this paint signifies that it's salvage. When I got it, this was off, but I mean, you can see the story. It melted. What I mean, the starter solenoid is here, the coil is here, the voltage regulator is here. You see the resistor for the bi-starter. What you're missing is the CDI unit. And, I mean, we got charred wires here. Right, you can see this is burned up right there by my finger. You got tape jobs. So there's all kinds of interesting and wild stuff that went on with this. Anyway, I did get it running, and now what I want to do is I want to make it so that, you know, turn the key, engine starts, you know, if I play with the light switch and so forth, I can make the lights work and all that kind of stuff. So I spent a few minutes thinking about it, and you know, I had to educate myself on a few things, like the bi-starter and all. And finally, I worked out a wiring diagram that'll do everything I want it to do. First of all, you start out with, you know, the stator. Off the stator, yellow and white wires, they go to the voltage regulator, right? The red wire comes out, goes to the positive of the battery. The black wire comes out of the voltage regulator, goes to the negative of the battery. It also goes to ground. So that's your basic charging system right there. Once you get this functioning, and you know, there doesn't have to be any fuses or anything, it's all direct wiring and all that, it's all good. You know, you have two little complications off of that circuitry. For this particular kind of engine that has the electric bi-starter enriching circuit off the carburetor, you actually have to hook one of the stator wires to that. The other side of the bi-starter goes to the resistor. It's that white thing I'm pointing at in there. Right there. And the other side of the resistor goes to ground. This way, when you start the engine, it puts the power of one of the legs right into the bi-starter through a resistor. The bi-starter starts to heat up, and as it starts to heat up, it gradually closes down the enrichment circuit, which helps you start it when it's cold, right? You want to enrich it when you want to start it cold. So there's that. Actually very clever, because if your engine isn't running, right, your bi-starter isn't getting warm and your enrichment circuit stays on. If you forget to turn the thing off, right, you leave the keys in it and you leave it on, right, as long as your engine isn't running, your bi-starter isn't draining your battery or anything. It's actually very, very clever. I was, you know, it actually made a lot of sense. It was pretty cool figuring all that out. The second complicating circuit right off the battery is one side of the battery goes to the starting solenoid. The other side of the starting solenoid goes to the starter, and obviously the starter is bolted to the engine cage, which gives you ground. And then once again you have the coil that goes up here. Once you have your battery set up, typically off your positive leg is a fuse that goes to your key switch. When your key switch is off, all these things are off. When your key switch is on, it powers up your dashboard, which means you could turn your lights on and off and beep your horn and run your signals and all that other stuff. I'm going to go with a DC powered CDI box. So when the key switch is on, my CDI will have power. And if you turn the key switch one more time, you could actually engage the starter and fire this thing up. What makes this thing a pest to work on, a real nuisance and annoyance to work on, is in this box here. In this box is a whole bunch of trouble. The voltage regulator is bolted to the bottom of it. The resistor for the bi-starter is sitting in that box. Just below it is the battery. The solenoid for the starter is in the box. The CDI is in the box along with the coil, along with this fuse. So there's a lot of junk in that box. So a lot of wires have to go to the box. The starter wires need to come in and out of the box. Power wires need to come in and out of the box, right? Power needs to come back to the box to run the CDI. You know, there's, I mentioned the bi-starter. There's a lot of wires in and out of that box. And as we see there, I kind of have a mess. Some of the wires come into the box from the top. Some of them come in the box through the bottom. I mean, it's a train wreck. Now, what I'm going to do to start with, and sorry this is taking a while, there'll be more videos, but I'm going to get that box out of there, get it cleaned up, and get it ready to, I'm going to use the word assemble. I'm going to try to assemble that properly. I'm going to try to get everything that belongs in there back into there. That way this thing is as it should be. Once I get the box set up, then it's a matter of doing the wiring, and I'll probably turn the camera back on to show you guys some of that. Alright, this is going to be once again a multi-part video, so I'll be adding to it. Bye now. Hey tubers, so I took that electronics tray out of the go-kart there, took it out of the Sunl and just putting a second coat of rust converter. They sell this stuff at Harbor Freight for $5 a can, minus the coupon you could get it for $4 a can. I think this rust converter will do the best job. From my angle, I can kind of see when it's kind of all wet, but I'm not getting any backflow onto the camera lens. So I know this is exciting as watching paint dry. So that's it. Tomorrow we'll be able to put the whole thing back together. Hey tubers, welcome back. So since the last time you've seen this electronics box, I've more or less rebuilt it. Yesterday I kind of ended the video while I was spraying rust converter into it. So I got that all straightened out. Since then I'm going to use the word repopulated the box. Here's the CDI, bi-starter resistor, starting solenoid, and on the bottom of the box you got the voltage regulator, and you also have the ignition coil, the spark coil there. So everything's back in the box, bolted down as it should be. As I look through the circuitry here and so forth, I notice I need ground all over the place. So what I decided to do is, you could see I went with this copper, we used to call them bias bar, tie bar, ground bar, whatever word you want to use for it. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have everything from this case that needs to go to ground here. I'm going to run a ground in from the body also to attach it to here. I mean, it's attached to that bolt there, and I cleaned it up a little bit underneath. But a lot of times it's very hard to get a good solid connection of this metal box to ground. Just a few of the wires, battery coming in, and from here it's going to go to a fuse and then off to the dashboard and so forth. You guys recognize the old blue and white. That has to go to the motor and hook up to the pulse generator, and you guys know the red and black. This is a DC CDI, so the red and black is going to go get 12 volts from the switch. Whenever I start trying to redo a wire harness or whatever, especially one that's been burned up, I try to figure out what went wrong that it burned up. Is there something that perhaps I don't understand that got things into trouble? If you guys remember the Nanco Talon down below, somebody miswired it so that when the engine started up, all the power from the voltage regulator was basically going into a dead short. So, you know, if you're troubleshooting it, until you start it up and take a look and see wires burning, you really don't know what's going on. And they do a lot of kind of very bad things. This is the key switch, and the power comes in on the key switch, on this red and white, and then it goes out on this black, right? The purple, periwinkle, blue, whatever you want to call it, that's when it hits that position, that turns on the starting solenoid, which starts it up. So anyway, if you're sending a black wire back this way with power on it, right? And that's how the engine's going to run. And you're also using, you know, black for your ground and the negative on your battery. It's very, very easy to get confused. And the next thing you know, things are burning up. So, I think, as I look at this box here, I think they had some kind of bundle of wires coming out of the box off on this side, and that's what got into trouble. Anyway, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video here, and then I'm going to bolt everything together. Oh, I did want to cover one other thing. Should you need to refill this box with stuff, starting solenoid, $8, and that's the search phrase I used. So starter, solenoid, relay, and you can see they cost about $8, right? So that's one thing. This is the CDI that I always use now, and you can see the reason why I like it. Trigger, ignition coil, ground, switch 12 volts. You give it 12 volts, it's ready to spark. You take away the 12 volts, your spark goes away. And you guys can see the search term I used for that. I ended up using this wire set, and I really like this wire set for a few reasons. First of all, it comes with a spare spark plug, it comes with a key switch. You throw away the CDI and use the DC powered one I showed you, unless you do want to use an AC powered one. The wiring diagram is exactly the same, except on the red and black wire, instead of hooking it to the stator for this one, for this guy, you hook it to the battery, and you hook the green wire ground to battery. But I happen to like this kit because it comes with a spark plug, a key switch, an on and off. It's $22. The nice thing is it comes from our friends at Amazon. I bought it through eBay, but Amazon actually filled the order. And this is for the one downstairs. So that about covers it. So right now, everybody who has one of these problems of a burned up control box for your Hammerhead, Carter, Sunl, Trail Boss, whoever made your particular go-kart, Tao, on and on and on. Whoever built this for you. I showed you how to rebuild the box, right? You scrape it, you hit it with the rust converter. Now the box is repopulated, everything's back into it. I showed you where to get everything. The wiring diagram, I can show that to you again on the next video, and I'm actually going to wire it up and get it going. So probably will end up getting a ride out of the next video also. Some people enjoy these videos. Some people don't. I have some trouble putting these videos up because this control box burned up. But if I write how to fix your burned up control box, and maybe even this video is going to get flagged because I said it out loud, the people at YouTube have a tendency to lock up my video. I'm not sure why fixing a burned up control box would be something that's a problem, but for some reason they're searching robots find that and don't like it. And you know, the weird thing is I started using Dune Buggy, and they even, when I use those terms as tags or descriptors, Dune Buggy even lights up and warns me not to use them because they're going to be a problem to change my wording. So I'm hoping that I can use the wording that if somebody has one of these things and the control box burns up on them, that they're able to find this video on how to rebuild it, right? But once again, who knows? Anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching and commenting and subscribing. Remember, feet down, heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.